turning 250, and it's time to rock out with our forefathers. American-made, battle-ready style for true patriots. Whether you're marching in the parade, grilling in the backyard, or raising a toast to liberty, do it in the gear that screams freedom. Celebrate 250 years of USA in style. Wear your American pride loud. Trendjackers.etsy.com. Grab yours before the fireworks.
From Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown, this is Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. TicketBash.com, where memories are made affordable and where you'll never pay a service fee. Sports Bash is also presented by the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund, a group of like-minded individuals trying to raise awareness for our future generations of all possibilities of success other than just college. For more information, visit www.lookwhomadeit.org. Well, hi again, everyone. I'm Peter Schwartz. Welcome to the show. Happy Thursday here on Long Island. The phone number to call is 516-465-3990. Coming up on the show, in studio with us, because it is Islanders Alumni Weekend, that I guess you can say kick-starts tonight, because I saw on Facebook today Jiggs McDonald just landed in New York this morning. So he's going to be a part of Alumni Weekend for the Islanders, and they're going to retire Pat LaFontaine's number on Saturday. But we are going to be joined in studio in just about 10 minutes or so by former Islanders executive Kenny Hare. Again, Alumni Weekend, Pat LaFontaine Hall of Fame Day on Saturday. So we're going to talk. And Kenny, let me tell you, we've talked off camera, we've talked on the phone, we've talked all over the place. Some great stories about the history of the Islanders, especially during the dynasty years and even the years leading up to the dynasty. Kenny's got some great stories, and I understand he brought some treats for me as well, so we'll get to that. Not edible treats, but like Islander treats. Who left these cookies here, Tony?
They're here just for you, pal.
Just for me? Well, then somebody got into them first before
I'm like Forrest Gump. I ate some.
Tony Walker, my producer, and also you just heard him on the Knock 'em Dead comedy show Monday through Friday from 11 to 12:30. After Kenny Hare joins us, we're going to talk a little soccer. Former U.S. national team and Long Island native midfielder Chris Armas. He's going to join us to talk about, growing up playing soccer on Long Island, but also the World Cup is coming to the United States, Canada, and Mexico in 2026. So we'll talk to Chris about soccer and the World Cup, and we'll talk to him at around 1:45. We'll also have What's Hot at TicketBash.com, the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day, and we'll check out the Coach's Collectibles item of the week. This is how things change in sports radio and sports broadcasting. Kenny was going to join me right off the bat to talk Islanders, so I said to him, look, this little thing happened with the Mets the last 24 to 48 hours. We got to talk about the Mets for a few minutes, and we'll bring Kenny in just about 8 or 9 minutes or so to talk Islanders. But we couldn't start the show today without talking about the big elephant in the room, and that's what has happened to the Mets in the last 48 hours. And on Tuesday we talked about Edwin Diaz going to the Dodgers, 3 years, $69 million. And I think when Met fans first heard that news, they're like, well, that sucks. He's going to L.A. The rich get richer. But you know what? Met fans will feel better if they're able to bring back Pete Alonso. And, of course, the news came yesterday that Pete Alonso is now an ex-New York Met, 5 years, $155 million with the Orioles. And I don't think people are too surprised that he left the Mets, but I think the Orioles was the surprise destination. I think we knew he was going to talk to him. We just didn't know if that was going to be a token conversation at the winter meetings or, was it going to be serious? It turns out it'd be serious as you know what. And Pete Alonso is moving south on I-95 down to Baltimore, and he'll be a big part of that Orioles team that had a very underwhelming year this year. And depending on how you look at their roster and what they do the rest of the offseason, are they a team that can compete with the Yankees and the Blue Jays for the AL East? We just don't know that yet. But as far as the Mets are concerned, I mean, if you're a Met fan right now, you have to be in utter shock, utter disbelief and shock, because this was not supposed to be the way that the Mets were going to operate under Steve Cohen. Steve Cohen, the richest owner in all of Major League Baseball, has obviously written a lot of big checks since he was the Mets owner. A big check to Francisco Lindor, of course, the big one to Juan Soto last year. And now Met fans have watched arguably one of the best, handful of closers in the game at Edwin Diaz leave over $3 million. And it also makes you wonder if Edwin Diaz really wanted to come back. But the difference was $3 million from the Mets offer to the Dodgers offer. And now we see Pete Alonso leaving for Baltimore. And this to me is a David Stearns situation, because I'm sure Steve Cohen wanted Pete Alonso back. There was all that talk last year that the Mets were not going to bring him back. Remember how long it took the Mets to re-sign him to that contract last year? So you wonder if a year later, and remember, David Stearns, although he grew up in New York, he cut his teeth with the Milwaukee Brewers. And they're not exactly, a team known for shelling out large amounts of money. So David Stearns, I wonder if this happened. Did he go to Steve Cohen and say, look, we've written all these checks over the last few years. It didn't work out the year after going to the NLCS. Maybe we should take a more analytical approach to things. And maybe he finally got Steve Cohen's ear that maybe these big giant contracts are not the way to go. And you could just tell, you could just feel that Pete Alonso was never going to be in David Stearns' long-term plans. And I'll tell you, I am not a Met fan, and I want to get Tony's thoughts on this really quick because he's our resident Met fan. I am not a Mets fan, but David Stearns and that ridiculous grin on his face every time he talks to reporters would be so annoying it's annoying to me, and I'm not a Mets fan, but Tony, I mean, forget about it, that it's Pete Alonso that's left. We'll get to that in a second.
I can't.
Are you okay?
No, I'm not okay.
The last 48 hours for you, can you kind of sum them up?
I'll be honest. Diaz, me personally, I kind of felt like, even though he had a good year, I still feel like he's past his prime, and maybe that wasn't the worst thing in the world, losing him. Getting, what's his name that would play for the Yankees last year?
Devin Williams.
Devin Williams. Sorry, I had a brain fart there. I mean, he's the guy that gave up the hit to Pete. I mean,
so you got him, and now you don't have Pete.
Exactly. I mean, Pete, it's like letting David Wright walk. It's like letting Derek Jeter walk. He's a homegrown Met. Right.
He just broke the Mets' home run record.
Right.
But to me, this is a David Stearns thing, because it was clear to me from day one he didn't want Pete Alonso on this team.
Agreed.
And I think he buckled under the pressure, because we talked about this on the show last year. The perception of Pete Alonso changed after that home run off of Devin Williams.
Yes.
Had he not hit that home run, I don't think he would have been a Met this year.
I agree.
But now Met fans love him. He had a great year, broke the record. And I think a lot of Met fans now have really turned south on not just David Stearns, but I think on Steve Cohen, because this wasn't the way it was supposed to be.
Agreed. I don't think you said something a few minutes ago about shock. I don't think, based on what you just said, I don't think we're shocked. but just extremely sad.
Yeah.
Unless they come through with some kind of blockbuster deal that brings a really good player to first
I
base,
heard they're
this is going to be
interested in
hard.
Paul Goldschmidt.
Yes, I did hear that.
Which is interesting because he had a good year for the Yankees. Petered off a little bit there at the end. I'm sure they'll still be linked to Cody Bellinger at some point here. But again, just to kind of sum up the whole conversation, this is a real tough 48 hours. The Edwin Diaz thing was one of them. But yesterday, I'm at my office in the house, and I'm online, and I see the Pete Alonso news. And I remember, as people who watch the show know, I'm a diehard Yankees fan. My wife and my kids are Met fans. And I tweeted this yesterday. I think I'm just going to leave my family alone for a little while now and not bother them. I had to text with Tony for business stuff.
The
and I said,
text did make me smile. I will say that.
I texted you. I said condolences to Tony, but to my family, I think what, maybe it's just best for Dad and husband Pete, the Yankee fan, to just keep his mouth shut for a little while and let the whole thing sink in. And listen, we'll see what the rest of the offseason goes, but the last 2 days, a tough couple of days for Met fans. So we just wanted to get things started with the amazing mess that was the last 48 hours for the New York Mets. But we're going to talk about a much brighter subject when we come back after a quick break. He was a longtime Islanders executive. He is back this week for Alumni Weekend. He's got some great stories about the old Islanders. And selfishly, he's brought some stuff for me, so we're going to get to that too. When we come back, Kenny Hare, longtime Islanders executive, is going to join me here on the show. We're going to come back with more Sports Bash right after this. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage.
In 1982, the Marty Lyons Foundation began with a single heartfelt mission: to bring moments of joy and hope to critically ill children by granting wishes that make their dreams come true. Since that day, we have touched the lives of over 8,600 families, raising over $44 million to grant wishes that offer a beacon of light in their darkest times. These precious wishes cost an average of $7,100 each, and your support is crucial to our mission. Every donation, big or small, makes a difference. And with 84 cents of every dollar going directly to supporting our families, you can rest assured your support truly changes lives. The Marty Lyons Foundation operates 11 chapters in 14 states now, working tirelessly to reach as many children as we can. This dedication goes hand in hand with our commitment to transparency and accountability, earning us top ratings on Charity Navigator, Great Nonprofits, and Candid, which underscores our dedication to those we serve. The Marty Lyons Foundation grants wishes to children ages 3 to 17. And what really makes this foundation so special is our willingness to grant not only a first wish, but also consider a second wish to a child who continues to battle a life-threatening illness. We stand by these children, offering them hope and strength through the power of dreams, giving our children the courage to wish for more.
What's your purpose in life? Is your purpose in life to live in the big house and drive the nice car? No. Your purpose in this life is to make it a little bit better for those that follow and realize that we live for today to see a better tomorrow.
Visit MartyLyonsFoundation.org to learn more and get involved.
Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com and the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund. I'm Peter Schwartz. A happy Thursday to everybody watching, especially everybody in Islanders country here on Long Island, as the Islanders get set for Alumni Weekend that will take place really starting tonight, because people are starting to come into town. The Islanders play the Anaheim Ducks tonight, but the big day is going to be on Saturday, when the Islanders have a Hall of Fame day, and that's when Pat LaFontaine is going to be inducted into the Islanders Hall of Fame. He'll be the 17th player, coach, builder that will go into the Islanders Hall of Fame, and now brings up the discussion of who's next, and we can talk about that a little bit. But since it is Islanders Alumni Weekend, and we have, this is actually the first time we've ever met in person, but we've talked on the phone and by text, and I thought it would be great since he's in town for Alumni Weekend. A long, storied history with the Islanders, a decade, 72 to 82. He was an Islanders executive and really was a jack of all trades for the Islanders, and I want to welcome to Sports Bash Kenny Hare. Kenny, thank you for stopping by.
It's great to be here. Really is.
Thank you. And the first thing is I saw Kenny get out of his car, and the first thing that struck me about Kenny was the jacket he was wearing. So if you're an Islanders fan as old as I am, and I'm 58, and you remember back in the old days, the players and coaches would wear that jacket, and I'm immediately jealous that you still have one.
Well, it's a good one. This was actually a prototype. There weren't too many of these made. We were going to go with the company, and then we decided to go with Starter Sportswear instead. So we had a couple of these lying around, and Bill Torrey said, "Here, take it."
Take one.
So I take it, and I wear it to every Islander. Whenever I go to the Islander games, and I get such compliments from people in the stands. They say, "Where did you get that? I love the colors and this that thing." John Ledecky loves it. I think he wants it.
I think maybe
actually.
they should talk to Scott Malkin, the Islanders co-owner, who's obviously big in the retail business.
Yes.
And maybe they can bring that back to Isles Lab.
You never
Oh,
know.
he's dropping a little nugget here for us.
Think
are
I
you?
can get a piece of that action? Just kidding.
No, it's a great jacket. He's got a Stanley Cup pin on there as well. When you think back to the beginning, and you were an Islanders employee right from the start, along with working for the New York Nets of the old ABA, and you think about, over 50 years later, the Islanders still, going strong. How proud of you that you were involved with the team, especially during some really, really important years for this franchise.
It was amazing. It was my first job out of college. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was a history major. I said, what am I going to do? And the Islanders were being formed. Of course, I was a huge Ranger fan. Why not?
No.
Of course I was. It was before the Islanders. Stop it. Everybody loved the Rangers. I mean, but I was a hockey fan more than anything. And I said, I have got to get a job there. I don't care what it takes. And through a lot of persistence and a lot of rejection, they finally gave me a job with the Nets, not the Islanders. But on my first day, I was able to go in the other walk.
Remember, Roy Bowe,
Yes.
who brought the Islanders to Long Island, owned both the Nets and the Islanders.
That is correct. And unfortunately, he to keep the Islanders, he had to sell Julius Erving to the 76ers. That's a whole other story for another day.
That's a whole other story for another day.
But anyway, I ended up going over to the Islander offices. I met Bill Torrey. I basically told him I just started working with the Nets. I am here 24/7 at your beckoning call, anything you need. And Kenny, I really appreciate that. And by the way, he was always Mr. Torrey to me.
Oh, everybody calls him Mr.
I was
Torrey.
not comfortable calling him Bill. It was always Mr. Torrey. But anyway, one thing led to another. I ended up selling tickets for both teams. And it turned out to be a very exciting time for me and my life. And I was there day one, the first game ever. We had a scoreboard there. It was from the old Island Garden.
Yes, it was that little small four-sided.
Home and guest.
Home and guest.
This is the NHL, folks. Home and guest.
And if I remember correctly, and I didn't go to – my first Islander game wasn't until January of 78. But if I remember correctly in reading the story, because there have been some great books that were written about the history of the Islanders, including The Dynamic Islanders, which is my favorite book, and I still have a couple of copies of it from after they won the first cup. Did they not – when the bigger scoreboard was installed, didn't they not donate that smaller scoreboard to Hofstra? Didn't that become
I
the
believe so.
scoreboard at the old Hofstra Physical
Yes.
Fitness Center?
Yes.
Yeah, but at home and guest, and then
and guest,
and then became the Matrix scoreboard that if you're an Islander fan of age, you remember how great that was, and then things
It was
proceeded
like the
after
biggest
that.
thing ever. This brand new scoreboard, which was so outdated now. They have it now.
72, things didn't go very well in 72. A lot of losses, and people wondered, is
12, 20, and 6.
12, 60 and 6.
12, 60,
60 and 6.
Sorry
yes.
about that. I tried to make it better than it was.
It sounded bad.
30 points.
And people
30 points.
People are like, look, Peter is correcting him. I'm like,
No,
Peter's
you
just
can
an
correct me
Islander
all day.
fanatic. But obviously things didn't go so well that first year, but it was really the second year when they brought Al Arbor in as head coach. And as the story goes, well, first of all, let me just say this. Al Arbor's first year as Islanders coach, they gave up 100 less goals than they did the year before. That was the most important thing. But he almost didn't come to the Islanders. Bill Torrey had to basically pull him by the arm to come here because, as the story goes, Al Arbor thought Long Island was just like New York City.
Well, as it turned out, I picked up Al and Claire from the airport when they were coming here. That was one of my jobs that Bill Torrey gave to me. He says, go get him. And the first thing I did is I took him right around the Garden City area. I said, listen, this has nothing to do with New York City. We're 30 miles away. I showed him some of the North Shore. I actually took him to my parents' house in Roslyn. We had lunch. And he was pretty much at ease from that, which was a very good thing.
Yeah, thank God, because, again, the whole franchise changed when Al Arbor, got here and was just that really, calming influence, but also can be, a pretty, as Benoit Hogue told us the other day when he was in studio, and people have said Al was hard on you at times, but he was also a very, very nice gentleman. I remember, covering him every now and then too, growing up and getting a chance to meet him. But that team eventually grew into the Stanley Cup dynasty. But before the dynasty, the original arrival of the Islanders into prominence occurred in 1975 when they shocked the Rangers in the first round of the playoffs, then came from 3-0 down to beat the Penguins, and they almost did it again in the semifinals against the Flyers. They were down 0-3, came back, and then they lost Game 7. Talk to me about the spring of 1975 and that unbelievable run that really put the Islanders on the map.
Well, for me personally, selling season tickets, it was a godsend. Had
to be the easiest job in the world at that point.
It became a much easier job, to put it mildly.
Yeah.
We were improving, but nothing like that. It was a total shock. In our third year, we beat the mighty Rangers. And you remember, we were in the market with the Rangers. It's like the Mets and Yankees. You were competing in the same market for the same fans, for the same ticket base. And for us to beat the Rangers was like, to me, everybody says 1980 we won the Stanley Cup. Yeah, sure, that was great. But to me personally, 1975 was incredible, and of course, it made ticket sales for me a lot easier.
There's a great still shot after J.P. Parise scored the overtime goal at the Garden. There's a great Brad Park is laying down on the ice, and the Islanders are gathered celebrating. But you have to look to appreciate that photograph as an Islanders fan. The shock of the Ranger fans that were sitting in the stands. Were you there for Game 3?
I was sitting directly behind the bench.
Directly behind
First
the bench.
row behind the Islander bench. Actually,
were there a lot of Islander fans at that game?
No.
Not like now where the visiting team.
The only reason I got to sit there, by the way, is because those were Bill Torrey's seats. They always gave the visitors the seats right behind the bench, and he was superstitious. He didn't want to sit there, so I was with.
He always stood, because this happened also later on when big goals were scored. Wasn't he always like lurking in like a Zamboni entrance or in a corner area? Like, he never sat in the seat. I know in the Coliseum he was up in the top in that last row in the press area because you sat next to him. But in other times, he was always like lurking somewhere, almost like I don't know, honing in on something.
Hockey players are very superstitious.
Yeah.
Extremely so. So, yeah, he would lurk. He would go around and say anything. At the home, though, he sat with us in 325 row S. That was the press box, and I sat with him for all the games, all the home games during that era.
A friend of mine, a dear friend of mine for a long time, is an old Islander season ticket holder, and we're still friends today, and dear friend of the family, my friend Larry Pine, used to have season tickets in the last row of 325, and when he saw that you were going to be on the show, he texted me and said, I had many great conversations with Kenny Hare. He would look back, and there was like a group of strange people that always had do you remember Fuzzy?
Fuzzy was a ticket holder. He was with the Rangers, so a hockey fanatic. He had a beard that went from his chin to the floor, just about. And hi, Kenny, how are you? That's how Fuzzy talked. And he had two other guys with him, Igor and Billy and Fuzzy. And Bill Torrey loved Fuzzy because he was the real deal. real Islander fan, but I was the only one in the world who knew Fuzzy's real name, which he made me never tell to anybody because he wanted to be known as Fuzzy. But to invoice him for his season tickets, I had to have his real name. I better not even say it to this day.
Oh, I know what it is. You could say it.
Don Waldman.
Yes. Don.
Unbelievable.
I got to meet him a number of times. He was actually very, very nice, always great to me, and he would see me at a game, always ask how my family was doing. We lost him. He passed away a few years ago, but a great hockey fan. Before I go on to some of the stuff that you brought for me, I want one more thing about Bill Torrey. When he sat with you in the press box, and I've heard this from other people too, he was very intense watching the game, and he would shout a few expletives, right? Here and there.
His favorite one was Jesus. Yeah, he got excited. He was almost like a fan. He got very Yeah. The maddest,
probably like a true
I'll tell you,
fan.
I'm going out of sequence here, but the maddest I ever saw him was the double chili game.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that in a second, but I do want to thank Kenny because he's brought in some goodies for me. And I mentioned they're not edible goodies, but if you're at Islander games now and you go shop in the team store, it's very, very easy to get pucks that were like. Pucks go over the glass, people catch them, but you could also go to the team store and get the same puck that they use in the game. And they look so much different now. Remember the other day, Benoit Hogue autographed that Islanders game puck for me here on the show, and I didn't know Kenny was doing this. But Kenny brought to me, this is a 1972.
Original
1972, and Tony, tell me if it's in shot.
Yeah, hang on a second.
He's gonna zoom in on it. This is an original 1972 Islanders game puck. Remember, it doesn't say official game puck like it does now. And if you flip it around, it's got the original NHL logo in orange and black on there. And I got to tell you, thank you so much for that. How many of these have you collected over the years?
A few.
And I guess that one was expendable, right?
I still have a couple. I have a couple left.
You brought some nice hats for me. I appreciate that. I'll share that with the family when I get home. There's a great Islanders keychain that's here. So I'll be attaching that to my work bag a little bit later on. Thank you very much for that. How about this? An Islanders 1980 Stanley Cup champion pen. Look at this. I'm going to hold it up really close.
And it works.
Hang on. Sorry. Hang on.
Got it?
Here we go.
It works, right? Well, let's test it out. Hold on one second.
Pressure's on.
Let's see. Let's see if the pen works. It works. There you go. It works. There you go. Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
Now, I don't know how I'm going to use this because I don't smoke, but I still think this is going to look great in my amongst my Islanders souvenirs. It's Islanders matches. So even those of you who do watch who smoke, you're not getting any because it's going to go like in a case with the rest of my Islander stuff. So I really appreciate all of that. Yeah. You must have over the years working for the team, and you traveled with them and everything. You stay in touch with them. You must have accumulated some pretty good items over the years.
Well, I have the Dennis Potvin's 30th goal stick. He did it twice in his career.
Now, how did you get that?
I asked him for it.
Dennis, it's a milestone.
Simple.
It's a milestone goal. Can I have your stick?
Yeah, he gave it to me.
Really?
He autographed it. The whole team autographed it, and he gave it to me, which was very nice. I have the 1981 entire Stanley Cup team signed a stick for me.
Oh,
so great. I have that. And the other thing I have, if you want to talk about the Billy Smith stick.
Yeah, the Billy Smith, there's a significant shutout.
Well, I could tell you that story very quickly. The Islanders had secured their first shutout ever on the road. And they had never had one at home. And we're at the game, it was about a week later. And I'm sitting in the press box, because I was the press box announcer also, in addition to everything else I did. So I saw what was happening, and it was a couple of minutes left in the game, and I asked Bill, Mr. Torrey.
Mr. Torrey.
And Hawley, could I go downstairs?
I remember New York sports has had two Mr. Torreys.
Oh,
You had
well,
Bill
Derek
Torrey
Jeter,
and Joe
Mr.
Torrey.
Torrey.
Joe Torrey, yes.
Exactly.
Both of them were Mr. Torrey.
Oh, yeah. So
Yeah.
I went down to where the Islanders come off the ice, and Billy Smith comes off the ice and said, Billy, can I have the stick? He says, yeah. They take the stick. Nobody knew what it was, thank God, because they would have asked me for it. And I ended up taking the stick. I was going to dinner that night at Giulio Cesare in Westbury. Giulio was a big season ticket holder. He saw the stick. He knew what it was. He grabbed it. He says, you're not leaving the restaurant with the stick. The stick was there for 30 or 40 years, survived the fire.
Wow.
And then he did a renovation. And I
So
said,
did he?
yeah, he hung it up over the
in
fireplace. Absolutely.
Okay.
It was there for all the fans to see. And eventually I said, there was new ownership. And I said, you know something? I want to give the stick to ask John Ledecky if he would like it, which I did.
Wow.
And it's now hanging in their executive offices in Manhattan.
Outstanding.
So that was the Billy Smith stick story.
That's a great story. And the fact that, in fact, it probably wouldn't happen now. And by the way, Kenny Hare, longtime Islander executive, is my guest here on Sports Bash as the Islanders get ready for Alumni Weekend. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But nowadays, players are probably too hesitant because of the skyrocketing price of merchandise. And plus now the Hall of Fame, anything happens, whether it's the Hockey Hall of Fame, baseball, basketball, the Hall of Fame swoops in and gets all that stuff now.
Yep. Well, that's true. So I was lucky to, I was lucky to it was a different era then.
Yeah.
Everything was different. I mean, it just was. The security was different. I could go back. I'll get into that a little bit later with you about some stories with security, which was, well, I could do that now if you want. I could tell you about.
Go ahead.
So we had won the cup in 1980, the first cup.
Yes.
And
the day Peter Schwartz went into convulsions.
So the story was we had the cup, and it was being passed around from house to house, player to player, and it was being really tossed around. Had a lot of scratches on it. Uh-huh. The top of the thing, it was like the robot from Lost in Space. The thing came off. All the screws were loose and this and the other thing. And anyway, the time had come, and the cup had to go back to Toronto, to the Hall of Fame. So Bill Torrey goes around. He says, well, it was different. Somebody has to take the cup back.
See, now there's like 3
Toronto.
Stanley Cups. Now they rotate around. Right. One goes on tour, one's in the...
This was the tour.
Yeah.
So he says, it's got to go back to Toronto. So my sister lived in Toronto. So I said to Bill, I would love to do that. I was thinking, he says, okay, he says, but you're coming, we're going to fly you up, and then you're going to fly right back. But I'm going to set up, you're going to have a lunch, you're going to have a VIP tour of the with Lefty Driscoll of the Hall of Fame. I said, this is great. So I called my brother-in-law, Canadian. I said,
so this is in the old Hall of Fame that was an exhibition place.
That is
because
correct.
It's now in the Bank of Montreal building. It moved into a new place.
Right.
Yeah.
So first of all, I go to the airport, and the thing was in a trunk, like you would take, to camp, a camera trunk. And I go through customs because the cup cannot leave my sight.
Right.
So I go through customs, and the guy says to me, what's your purpose in coming to Canada?
I'm laughing because I went I went to college in Buffalo. So when you would drive back and forth go across the Peace Bridge and the Rainbow Bridge and back, I know this line of questioning very well. So
I said, I'm bringing the Stanley Cup back to Toronto. He says, what, are you a wise guy? He says, open up the trunk. So I opened up the trunk. They went berserk. All the security people, hey, look what I got here.
They must have thought you stole it.
Well, they knew after a while.
Yeah.
I get on the plane. The pilot found out what I had because I was sitting. I had to buy a seat for the Stanley Cup. Ticket said Stanley Cup. Kenny Hare, Stanley Cup. So I'm sitting on the plane, and the pilot found out. He says, "Oh, could you bring the cup up? Could we fly with the cup?" So they opened. There was no security. So they opened up the door. So the cup flew with the pilots. But anyway, I get to the Hall of Fame with my brother-in-law. I'm all set for a great VIP lunch. Hey, Lefty, it's nice to meet you. He opens up the trunk. He sees the condition the cup is in. You guys have no respect, you New Yorkers. You destroyed my cup. Well, needless to say, no VIP lunch, No tour.
Oh, my
I was
God.
out of there in 5 minutes.
You were at
Goodbye.
967 Pizza, whatever that
That's
is,
exactly
on
right.
Young Street in Toronto that I know very well.
That's my Stanley Cup story.
Let's get to May 24th, 1980.
Okay.
Because, and obviously Islander fans know that the Islanders went through a series of extremely excruciating losses in the years leading up to winning the Cup for the first time. There was Lanny McDonald scoring the overtime goal in Game 7 at the Coliseum in '78, and that was a game that I cried going to sleep that night. The following year, I didn't go to sleep crying. I went to sleep angry when the Rangers beat the Islanders in the Stanley Cup semifinals, another series. And that was the year the Islanders had their best regular season record ever. That was the best Islander team that never won the Stanley Cup, was the team that lost to the Rangers. And then, the 79-80 season, Kenny, and you were there every step along the way. That regular season did not go very well. The Islanders went through some injuries. The Dennis Potvin was out for a long time, and they couldn't, finger injury. They could not get out of their own way, and there were rumblings. If they don't win the Cup this year, Bill and Al are gone, and they're going to make changes. They're going to do this, that, and the other thing. Now, on the same day, Dennis Potvin comes back from injury, and Ken Morrow makes his debut after winning the Olympics with the United States. Everything changed after that. They get Butch Goring in the trade, and then they go through the playoffs, and they beat the Flyers in overtime, 7-11 of overtime. Bobby Nystrom scores the goal. And we just watched it on my phone beforehand, the celebration after the Islanders win the Cup. Let me start with the season. What was that feeling in the organization as you guys were kind of, stumbling through the regular season?
It was nerve-wracking because every year we had improved so much, and this was the year we were expected to win. And we were doing so poorly, and this and the other thing, but like you covered it. Ken Morrow came in, and the catalyst, they call him, Butch Goring, that was
the missing piece.
That was the missing link, missing piece, whatever you want to say it. Everything changed from that. And but we were fortunate. I mean, it was close with the Flyers. I mean, we got a goal on a north side, which would have been
We've been reviewed now.
Majorly reviewed now. It was blatant offside. And we were dreading going back to Philly if we had to go back for a Game 7.
Game 7, it would not have gone well.
No, but we were lucky. We won. I was on the ice within 30 seconds of them scoring the goal. And just a quick story about that.
Sure.
Is CBS had the American rights to the game.
Yep.
And they were supposed to go to a golf tournament as soon as the game ended. Well, we went to overtime. So now it was getting a little dicey. They weren't going to go away from the game like the Heidi game. They were going to stay until the finish. But as soon as they scored the goal, they were.
Could you imagine if CBS had the Easter Epic?
Oh my God!
How nervous they would have been.
Oh my God! that would have been beyond. But anyway, so what happened was we scored the goal. Bobby scored the goal at about 10-5.
Yeah.
I got word that CBS was going off the air at 5. So I was on the ice. We had 10 minutes. Tim Ryan, who was doing the second period live. Dan Kelly
He was the Islanders
did first
TV announcer on Channel 9 and cable,
right.
and then he also worked for CBS. So Dan Kelly, legendary broadcaster, was hired, but he, out of respect for Tim Ryan, let him do the second period.
That's exactly right. And so Tim was on the ice to do interviews. So I see Tim in the corner, and he's waving to me, "Get Bobby over here now." Well, I tried, but Sal Marciano had him, and all these guys were grabbing him on tape, and I was trying to grab them away, and they were basically saying,
"You should say, I'm Kenny here. Do you know who I am?"
They couldn't care less who I was. And they had Bobby, and they weren't giving him up. I finally grabbed him around his neck. I said, "Come with me." I bring him over to Tim Ryan, get him to Timmy, and Timmy says, "We just went off the air." Bobby never got to go on TV, and he's the only Islander not to hold the Stanley Cup on the ice.
That's amazing. You told me that before we went on the air. That is incredible that he never got to hoist the cup on the ice.
Never got it.
See, now I got to go back and watch the whole footage
You
again.
could watch it and ask him. Never got to hold the cup.
You are wearing a 1980 Islanders Stanley Cup ring on your finger, and you're going to let me wear it.
All right, yeah. Here we go. Here we go.
Okay, this is great.
I don't know what
I
thing-
have in my life.
Put on your pinky.
Oh yeah, you're not gonna see my wedding ring here.
Yeah.
So they delivered my wife's wedding ring and my wedding ring, and we gave it to the rabbi when we got married.
Right.
And we handed him. He was handed him. He goes, I think I know which one is which.
That's pretty good.
So I've worn a Yankee World Series ring before. I've worn a Jets Super Bowl ring. I'm going to put on. It's not even fitting on my pinky.
Bring it down.
Bring it down this way.
Perfect.
How about that? How about that? Wow. And like now, like championship rings, you could open them up now, and it's got a miniature stadium inside of them. But it's so simple yet so beautiful back then.
Yeah.
How cool was that?
Very cool.
Were you surprised that they got a ring for you?
Well, I wasn't the top executive there, so I was surprised. But it was the greatest. I wish I had this back in the day. They sent out a memo.
I'm not going to steal it. Don't
They
worry
sent
about it,
out
I
a
promise.
memo, and I got the memo on my desk, and they said to Kenny Hare from Bill Torrey, "We need your ring size." And
Wow.
that was. I wish I had that.
During the break, we're going to take a picture together with the ring.
You got it.
Okay, how about that?
Not a problem.
So let's get to Hall of Fame weekend this weekend.
Okay.
Pat LaFontaine is going to be the 17th Islander to go into the Hall of Fame. It's a long time coming for him, but for you to be around the team and all these people are coming in. I heard, I saw Jiggs McDonald's going to be in town. I imagine he's going to be the MC maybe
Absolutely.
on Saturday. What does it mean to you to be invited back as part of Alumni Weekend?
It's the greatest. I mean, to be remembered is pretty nice. I mean, John Ledecky has been very kind to me over the last few years. They had reached out to me after I had been away for a while. Somebody from the Islanders called me and said they wanted me to get involved with the 50th anniversary of the team with my memories and to be involved. And unfortunately,
I interviewed you for a couple of stories that I wrote.
Well,
Yes,
Double
absolutely.
Chili
Double Chili.
and Scoro, if we have time to get into that. I don't know if we will.
As long as the next guest doesn't dial in, we can keep going a few more minutes. But so that.
Well, let me tell you the Scoro story real quick. So
Scoro was the game where
You
they
tell 'em.
covered up the goal, and there was the one. They cheapened it in years later. They put 3 holes, but it started with just the one hole in the middle, and you had to shoot the puck from center ice.
That's right.
And get it in that little hole to win the car. And the first guy, his name was Norman.
Norman One Shot.
Norman One Shot.
It was a 4-inch hole, and the puck was 3 inches. So Norman comes. I'm on the ice with Norman because that was what I did. They rolled the car on the ice, and all the Islanders had tried to get this puck into the net before we did this. Nobody could get it in. Not one Islander could get the puck in. So we all decided, Nassau Suffolk Chevy dealers will donate a car to somebody, one of the contestants at the end of the year, because nobody's going to get this in.
Yeah, who's from center ice?
So Norman comes out, takes the stick in his hand, and he takes a slap shot, which goes all the way to the sideboards. The fans are booing him. I said, Norman, you get one more shot at this. Listen, keep the stick flat on the ice. Do not wind up. Just push it as hard as you can. Okay, so he pushes it. The puck goes on its edge. All of a sudden, it starts turning. And as soon as it gets just before the hole, it flans out, plop into the goal. The fans are going berserk. Eddie Westfall comes flying down. Get him up here now. We're getting him on TV. And Norman became a big-time celebrity.
A big-time celebrity.
But the best Scoro story was the Islanders are playing Edmonton in the playoff series.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in my office. It's a game day at 11 o'clock in the morning. And the switchboard operator calls me up. And she says, Wayne Gretzky is here to see you. I go,
Wayne Gretzky wanted to see this guy. Kenny
I
Hare.
said, Wayne Gretzky wants to see me.
Yeah.
I go, okay. So I go out there. He's in his sweats, because they're practicing on the ice. He says, are you Kenny? I said, yeah. He says, well, I got your name from Mike Bossy and Brian Trottier. You're the guy that does that Scoro thing on the ice? I says, yeah, I get it. He says, do you think you could get the Scoro thing for us? The team wants to see if we can get it in the net. So I said, let me see what I could do. So I got a dolly. I went to the Zamboni entrance where we keep it. I wheeled it out for them, and then I watched them play Scoro. They had the best time. And then at the end, Wayne comes up to me and says, I can't thank you enough. What can we do for you? Anything you want. I said, thanks. Not a
You
problem.
could have gotten a stick from Brad
Anything,
Skate.
but then
You
I
could have gotten a stick, Kenny. Come on.
Yeah, in retrospect.
Listen, this was awesome to have you in, and please stay for the end of the show
Of
too,
course.
so we can take that picture. But I want to thank you. I want to, wish you all the best, and it'll be great seeing you this weekend. Saturday's going to be awesome. You're going to be at the game tonight too.
I will be tonight
We'll
and
catch
Saturday.
up. We'll catch up a little bit more tonight at the game. Of course, on Saturday when the Islanders induct Pat LaFontaine into the Hall of Fame. He is Kenny Hare, longtime Islander executive, and back in town for Alumni Weekend. So we'll switch from Islanders hockey and talk about the most amazing sporting event. And when you hear me say that, I got to put the headphones on because we have a guest on Zoom. So the single biggest sporting event. Now, a lot of people will say it's the Super Bowl, but of course, around the world, it's the World Cup. And the World Cup is coming to the United States, Canada, and Mexico this coming June and July. And of course, games here in the area will take place at MetLife Stadium. And I thought it would be great to bring on someone who has experience playing on the international level, but he's also a homegrown product. Growing up here on Long Island, went to Adelphi, played Major League Soccer, and had 66 appearances for the U.S. national team. Let's welcome in the great Chris Armas. Chris, it's Peter. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, Peter. Thanks for having me. Good to see you.
Good to see you, and thanks for coming on board. But before I get to the World Cup, and I didn't mention this in the introduction, but I think a lot of people here on the island first really got to know the name Chris Armas, not so much playing at Adelphi, but when you were a member of the Long Island Rough Riders that won the national championship in the USISL, and that team was loaded with other players like Gio Savarese played on that team, and Tony Miola played on that team, and that was the precursor for what was going to happen with Major League Soccer. Can you kind of talk about that year playing with the Rough Riders and drawing those crowds to Mitchell Field and winning that championship with so many great players? I think I forgot Jim Rooney's name too on that team. What was that like that year?
There was a lot of good players, and I was one of the younger guys coming in, and it was such a unique group because there was imagine the Jimmy Rooneys, the Danny Mullers, the Richie Nuttles. Imagine the every which way you looked, Paul Riley. So there was guys that alongside of me, age-wise, the Savareses, Miola a little bit older. It was such talent, such character. And then imagine the people leading the charge with Jim McKillmead and Alfonso Mondello. It was just such the perfect alignment of things. And 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people a game. It was an amazing few years.
Yeah, it was incredible to watch you guys go all the way that year, and then obviously it led into Major League Soccer and where soccer is in the United States right now. And as you know, it reaches a fever pitch in this country, World Cup time, especially when the United States is in the World Cup, and they will this year as one of the host countries. For you as an American player and obviously someone who grew up here on Long Island, how excited are you for the World Cup coming back to the United States this year?
Yeah, listen, for us soccer nuts, anytime or every time the World Cup comes around, we just we're so excited because during that month-long stretch, it's how many games can you watch? How many different teams can you see? From my eye, it's always now going to the tactics and different styles of play. You're looking at superstars, the Ronaldos and Messis, but all these other stars around the world coming together. So the fact that we get to host it, like we did in '94, it'll be bigger and better than ever. So we're thrilled that it's going to be in our country and obviously Mexico and Canada. So it really can't wait.
Yeah, and it looks like the United States got a favorable draw because they talk about every time there's a World Cup, there's that so-called group of death where you wind up getting into a group with two or three of the powerhouses around the world. But it seems to me that the United States got a pretty favorable draw into the group that they're in.
Yeah, it's on paper, right? That's what we're talking in a hypothetical. But Australia, right? Paraguay. And then we're going to wait on the other one, I believe. Right?
It's whoever wins that playoff or the play-in, yeah.
Yeah, it's Australia. They're just like us, they're all beatable, but Australia will be organized. They'll have counterattacking threats. They'll be good and diligent on set pieces. It'd be a tough opponent because they can. I've seen them play. They can sit more organized and deeper and hit you on the counter. Paraguay, a bit more individual talent, South American flair, always interesting opponent, but both are teams that we can and should handle. The expectation for the United States of America at this stage of the game is to get out of the group and to find a way to get out of the group. Never an easy thing, but it won't be looked at as successful if we don't get out of the group and look to make a run. And that's not an old timer like me, let's call it, putting pressure on it. But if in 2002 we went to the quarterfinals with all the resources and MLS and the league's growth and young players and the Pulisic's and the Tyler Adams, we should expect to, on home soil, get some momentum and then get to that where the knockout round where every game you can move on.
We're talking to Chris Armas, former member of the U.S. national team and a player in Major League Soccer. He grew up here on Long Island and played at Adelphi. And this year was a very special year for you, Chris, as you were inducted into the National Soccer Hall of Fame. And when you think back on your roots here on Long Island and going through the professional ranks, becoming a coach as well, where do you rank going into the National Soccer Hall of Fame on your very extensive resume of soccer?
Well, I'll tell you, I appreciate you mentioning it. It really ends up being like the cherry on top, an exclamation point on it all. Like anyone who knows me from the time I was 5 years old, and then in Brentwood Soccer Club for many, many years, and Bayshore Soccer Club, and through Adelphi, and then the professional ranks at in St. Anthony's High School in Long Island. Anyone that ever watched me play and knew me at all on the field knew why I played the game, for the love of the game, for my teammates, the competition, the people, the fans. Anytime they showed up, that was always what it was about. So to have a career long when I retired at 35 years old and now I'm coaching, but I didn't need anything more after that. But to get recognized by a Hall of Fame U.S. Soccer Committee and current members and your peers recognize that they also think that the work that I did was worthy of that distinguished honor. It's really incredible. And when I went to the ceremony in Frisco, Texas, it was I knew this, but it was so much. Not more, but it was so important for my family too, for not only my kids, but my mother, my brothers, because they are so much part of the journey as I was. So the ups
it takes a village, right?
Took a village, and seeing what it meant to them meant a lot to me. So what an honor! And when I get that honor, it means for my family, again, for then Alfonso and Jim Hamid, for Savarese and Jim Rooney, for George Doyle, who was my Brentwood coach when I was everyone can feel part of that, to be honest. So yeah, big honor.
You mentioned Jim Kilmeade's name a couple of times because he was the general manager of the Rough Riders back in the day, and now he is the managing partner and general manager of American Soccer Club New York. And of course, as we talked about during the week, I just joined the organization as their communications coordinator. So for you, as someone who grew up on Long Island, to now see this new team grow, and it's the same guy who got it off the ground as when he got the Rough Riders off the ground, to have Jim bring a professional team back here last year, and now they're going into year two. Speak to that as a native Long Islander and what it means to have a pro team here on the island again.
Well, look, if you live in New York, of course we have the Red Bulls in New Jersey, and NYCFC now going to be coming closer with the new stadium. Brooklyn FC coming into the USL Championship. Westchester's got a pro team in the USL One.
Right, the Cosmos are coming back in the spring to play in New
Cosmos
Jersey.
are coming back in Jersey. Soccer is just a hot commodity right now, and especially with some of the different ownership groups that are getting in at different levels and with capacity to move higher. But I think Jim Kilmeade's a really smart guy. Nobody knows Long Island soccer better than Jim. And no one knows how to build something from the ground up better than Jim Kilmeade. He understands the game better than most. He knows the Long Island community. He knows how to build a roster. He knows people, and he's a good businessman. So he did it once. He's best equipped now to do it again, and he's going to, and he's going to get a lot of support from all of us because we know that there's a lot out there, but it's it'll be a very unique situation that he puts together, and I think it'll have a real specific targeted audience, and they're going to put out a great product. So. Yeah, I'm excited to see what comes, and having something here on Long Island, I think is going to be great because there's so many soccer supporters out there and soccer nuts like me.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm excited to get going with them, and it's going to be great to be part of that team. And Chris, thank you so much for spending some time on the show. Congratulations on the Hall of Fame honor and what has been a wonderful career. I know it's not over yet, but I know there's some more things still. For you to check off on your to-do list, but I appreciate it, and hopefully we'll see you at a World Cup game. And I know tickets are going to be hard to come by, but I think we might all know some people that might be able to help with that respect. So maybe I'll see you at MetLife Stadium this coming June and July, especially for the final.
You listen. Let's all keep supporting it. I really am. I'm always grateful when people like yourself link on, and now with Jim, to help push it and get the word out there, and it's we do need the village to kind of keep it going. But thanks for having me on. I'm grateful.
Thanks, Chris. Chris Armas, member of the U.S. National Soccer Hall of Fame, and 66 appearances for the U.S. national team, and obviously grew up here on Long Island and played at Adelphi and Major League Soccer, and was part of that great championship team with the Long Island Rough Riders back in 1995. We have some more business to take care of before the clock runs out on us at 2 o'clock. Again, we thank Chris Armas for joining us here on the program. Let us get to the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day. It's presented by the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Every customer is considered family at the Embassy Diner. And don't forget to mention Sports Bash and get a free dessert with your meal. Kenny just lifted his head up when I said that. We post a new question every Tuesday and Thursday on the Sports Bash Media X/Twitter page. This is for Met fans. Describe your emotions right now. Pissed off, disappointed, will be okay, fire Stearns. I'll let Tony be the first to answer that question.
All the above. Definitely.
I'll tell you right now, if I was a Mets fan, I'd be pissed off.
Yep, absolutely.
What's hot at ticketbash.com. Tonight, the Islanders host the Anaheim Ducks at UBS Arena. Then Saturday, the Islanders host the Lightning as they induct Pat LaFontaine into their Hall of Fame. St. John's will host Iona at the Garden on Saturday. On Sunday, the Giants host the Commanders at MetLife Stadium if you want to put yourself through the torture of going to see that game. Upcoming shows and concerts, Z100's Jingle Ball, December 12th. At the Garden, Andrea Bocelli. At the Garden, December 17th and 18th. The Jonas Brothers are at UBS Arena, December 21st. I wonder if they'll be donning Islander jerseys during that concert. I would think so. And WWE Monday Night Raw is coming to Barclays Center on January 5th. Get the best seats at the best prices with no service fees at ticketbash.com. Speaking of WWE really quickly, this Saturday night, even for those who don't follow wrestling, you know the name John Cena because he's been a movie star, Make-A-Wish, all that stuff. John Cena wrestles his final match of his legendary career on Saturday night in Washington. And we're going to spend some time on Tuesday where we're working on a wrestling-related guest on Tuesday to talk about his final match, the implications of it, and what John Cena meant to the industry that is professional wrestling. So best of luck to John Cena on Saturday night, and congratulations on a great and soon-to-be Hall of Fame career. It's time for the Coach's Collectibles Item of the Week. Coach's Collectibles, your number one source for 100% authentic sports memorabilia and live public autograph events. The Item of the Week, something involving three guys who I'm sure were not happy the last couple of days either. Gary, Keith, and Ron, this autographed Mets baseball, signed by the best booth in baseball, Gary, Keith, and Ron, and we talked about it the other day, but Tony was there over the weekend to get a ball signed by them. So did you get a ball signed or a picture?
I just got the picture.
You just got the picture?
I was happy
and
with
it was
that.
autographed?
No.
No, you just took a picture with them.
Just
you
took a
didn't
picture.
get an autograph?
Did not.
Okay. Well, we'll have to work on that. We'll talk to Dom.
I'll take it.
Maybe we can get you that autographed baseball.
Works for me.
We'll say, I can't make any promises. I don't know why I just opened up my
I think
mouth.
you just promised it.
I'm not paying for it, that's for sure. On Sunday, December 14th, Mulcahy's in Wantagh will host two events, 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., a public signing with Terry Collins and umpire Tom Hallion, and from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., a signing with Mets third baseman Brett Beatty. For more information on all of these events, visit coachescollectiblesny.com. Last night at UBS Arena, this was so much fun. If you watched the show Shorzy on Hulu, the show about the fictional hockey team, they go on a tour and they play against alumni teams of other NHL teams. And last night, Shorzy, the cast of Shorzy, the Bulldogs, they were at UBS Arena to play the Islanders alumni team, and the Islanders beat the Bulldogs 14-6. Josh Bailey had a hat trick in the game. Cal Clutterbuck had a hat trick in the game. Matt Martin had a couple of goals, scored a shootout goal as well. So much fun, and the fans were into it. There was a really good crowd, about 7,000 people. About three-quarters of the lower bowl was full. And it was just a great atmosphere and so much fun. They included some elements of the show on the video screen, and a big part of that show is when characters in the show tell the main character Shorzy, F you Shorzy, and there were chants of that, but actually the full word last night at UBS Arena. So that was a whole lot of fun there last night. So thanks to everybody involved with the TV show Shorzy for having us at the game last night. Today is the anniversary of the worst football game I have ever been to in my life. My good friend, the fraud, Rob Friedman, was already living in Baltimore, got tickets to see the Jets play what was then the Washington Redskins at RFK Stadium, and we went to the game. The Jets won the game 3-0. 3-0. And that doesn't even begin to tell the story about how bad this football game is. Poor Boomer Esiason had passes dropped on him left or right. One was dropped, I think, I want to say it was Fred Baxter in the end zone. Jets tight end dropped what would have been a touchdown. And then here's the play of the game was Carrie Blanchard was the Jets field goal kicker. And he comes out to try and attempt the field goal. Louis Aguilar, the punter, is the holder. Duffy, Roger Duffy was the Jets center and was also the long snapper. And I guess he was looking for the signal from Louis Aguilar to snap the ball. And I guess Louis was just rubbing his leg, and Duffy thought that was the cue to snap it, and he snaps the ball right into Louis Aguilar's helmet. That was indicative of that game that day. It was awful, but at least the only thing is the Jets won the game by a score of 3-0. And that'll do it for this edition of Sports Bash, presented by Ticketbash.com and the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund. Thanks to my guests, the great Kenny Hare and the great Chris Armas. We had two great guests on the show today. We thank them both for that. Thanks to our social media coordinator, Leanne Burgess. Thanks to Tony Walker and everyone at Governors for their support. Sports Bash is sponsored by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, by Coaches Collectibles, and by the Marty Lyons Foundation. For our entire crew of thousands here at Governors, I'm Peter Schwartz. Thanks for watching and listening. We're back with you on Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Have a great weekend, and congratulations, Pat LaFontaine, on going into the Islanders Hall of Fame on Saturday. Have a great weekend, everybody.